Good morning. It's Thursday morning, and it's time for another word, another encouragement, and I'm ready to give it to you. Yesterday, I gave you a something that was heartfelt, something that I felt compelled to do. The Lord led me to do it, and I was very happy to do it. I got a lot of good comments and good texts back from you all that support me, and I definitely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And today's word, I think you're going to definitely enjoy. But as always, I ask you to always get you a good pair of shoes, stretch, get you something to drink, get ready to walk with me because you're getting ready to go on this road to wisdom. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm your host, Danny Graham, and welcome to my show, The Road to Wisdom. It is September the 7th, Thursday morning. It is a bright sunny day here in the good old state of South Carolina, and I welcome you all back to another show. Today's word is going to be something that is near and dear to law enforcement. We've been accused of this word for many, many, many years, and I think there is some truth to it. I'm going to step on some toes, my own in particular. But I hope that this word will resonate within you and that you will see it. If you do see it in yourself, maybe try to actively try and change that. Today's word is cynical. 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 And the definition of cynical is believing that people are not motivated purely by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity. I say it again. Believing that people are motivated purely by their own self-interest, distrustful of humans, sincerity, or integrity. And cops have been accused of that for a long time, being very cynical, and there are times that is absolutely true. I'm going to get further into it, but going on to the next thing I always do is giving you a scripture about the word, which is cynical, and the scripture for cynical is from the book of Romans, the 14th chapter and the 13th verse, and it reads as follows. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in the way of a brother or sister. Let me say that one more time. It comes from the book of Romans, the 14th chapter, the 13th verse, and it reads, Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in the way of a brother or sister. And cynical can just make you think, because cops are around the bad part of societies for so long, we deal with the people that a lot of people don't want to deal with. And I always say this, when people run away from trouble, it's the cops' job to run towards trouble. It's the cops' job to fight off evil, to fight off craziness, to fight off any kind of confusion, and to try to keep the peace. And sometimes when you just dealing in that all the time, and over and over, the only people you depend on is yourself, your team, or other law enforcement officers, and it can make you very cynical. Cynical in the fact that when someone may be telling you something that is true, but it sounds a little on the borderline, you're more likely to believe that they're full of junk and that they're not telling the truth, not being very truthful. And when you hear stuff, you always see, that don't sound right, this don't sound right, I think such and such and such. A lot of times you don't want to give the benefit of the doubt. And that's from just being in a world where all you see is people trying to trick the system, trying to hurt someone, trying to pull a fast one, trying to run scams on. These scams are running rampant now. You would not believe the scams that is going on. We have one that impersonated a law enforcement officer and had our own officer, my department's name and everything, was just taking people money and just going crazy. And it just makes the officer skeptical. And now the whole world, it seems to spill over from law enforcement. And we see it in all different professions. We see it in the religious professions. We see it in lawyers' professions. We see it in doctors' professions. We see it in DSS. We see it in all aspects of life, all different professions. But people are just skeptical. They don't want to. A lot of times we don't want to give it the benefit of the doubt because we've been burned so many times, or you see so many times people are trying to make a fast buck or get over on somebody or try and scam somebody or try to do something that's not on the up and up. And then it just leaves us kind of burned and scarred and kind of jaded, so to speak. So jaded and cynical, same thing. Brother, sister words, brother, sister definitions, and it's pretty much you've been hurt so bad, or you've seen so much negative stuff that you start to buy into that negative stuff and just think, okay, yeah, it's like the saying, it's supposed to be you're innocent to proving guilty, but now we live in a world where you're guilty and you got to prove your innocence. And sometimes, even proving your innocence, you can have a stack of evidence high as I am tall, saying that, hey, I'm innocent. But people still get that, I don't know, maybe he did it, then he might, yeah, he's slick. He beat the system, he got over it, he paid somebody off. It's just a lot of stuff where we used to trust each other, trust your fellow man. Now it's really hard because, like I said, there is so low morals out there today. And people that does stuff that always trying to get ahead or for their own self-interest, that just makes you a little leery in trusting somebody now. So it's sad, but it's a reality that we live in today. Cynicism is considered a sin. And cynicism casts the illusion of being an expression of faith and religious purity, but it's nothing but narcissistic negativity. And like I said, a lot of times, cynicism can be confused as being righteous and stuff because you like, especially in the religious application of it, you can be like, Lord says this, this, and this, or don't do this, this, and this. But then you're using it like you don't give, like the sinner doesn't have a chance on doing nothing because he's going to always fall back, and you're going to give him you're supposed to have an open heart, open mind, and accept them and forgive them. A lot of times we don't want to do that. And we say the words, but in our heart, in our minds, we're like, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. And you kind of project that air of righteousness and that what you say is right and everything is good, golden, and you're quoting scripture and all this kind of stuff, but you're not living it. You're not walking the walk. You're talking the talk, but you ain't walking the walk. And sometimes that cynicism you can kind of project off as being righteous or holier than thou. But guess what? You got to watch that, because that can be a sin. It can lead to sinful ways because you start judging people. And judging people is not your job. That's God's job. It's Jesus' job. It is not our job. Now, I know we got judges on the bench, and they do that. That's man's law. But I'm talking about biblical law. I'm talking about righteousness. I'm talking about your soul and salvation. That is not your job to judge people. It is your job to try to help people, forgive people, and try to bring them into the fold of Jesus Christ. That's our jobs as Christians. Cynical plus suspicious attitudes create a negative filter through which we observe our surroundings. When we are in this mindset, we tend to miss out on the joys of life. If you're a very cynical person and suspicious person, you're not going to be a very fun to be around, because you always think somebody's trying to do something, or you're feeling like you got to look over your shoulder, or you're not always, you're acting like one thing, but you're doing something else. You're so suspicious of people, and you're so just don't trust anybody. And if somebody does something, well, I bet he's doing that because he wants such and such and such. Somebody could offer you something, but what, I got to pay for it. Or somebody could say, hey, I want to help you with this. Well, what's in it for you? We always shooting back something like, what's in it for you? Sometimes there are some people, believe it or not, that are out there that truly want to help, that truly is giving something, truly want to pay it forward. But a person that's full of cynicism, and a person that is so cynical, is always going to try and see, well, why are you doing this for me? What you trying to do? What I got to pay you? What's up with that? What's what with this? They're always suspicious and don't take something at face value. And a lot of times, not all the time, that people are giving you stuff at face value, especially if it's someone that you've known a long time and known that has not trying to take advantage of you. Now you have to keep your guard up with people that you don't know. Something that people on the phone ask you certain questions, and that little voice in your head say, I don't think you want to give that. You might want to listen to that. But if somebody that you know, somebody that you trust, a family member, a close friend, a trusted employee, a trusted boss, then if they're trying to help you, most times in the scenarios, at least where I work at, you take that face value. They're trying to help you. And there are times when there is something in it for somebody, but you can't always look at that. We have to start looking at the glass as being half full, not always half empty. A cynical person always thinks the glass is half empty. A person that's more positive and got upbeat always thinks the glass is half full. A cynical person thinks it's half empty. So make sure you don't lean towards the half empty glass all the time. Start looking at the glasses half full, and I think you'll be more happier. Um, Cynicism is part of a defensive posture we take to protect ourselves when we feel or get angry by something. Instead of dealing with those emotions directly, we let them fester and skewer our outlook on life. A person that's full of cynicism and is cynical, you're going to always look at the world through a lens that's negative. And it's going to mess up your total outlook because you always think somebody is out to get you. You're so paranoid. You're just trying to do this. You're trying to do that. We talk about people in the Bible that was paranoid. Saul was paranoid. He thought David was trying to take his throne and stuff. He was doing crazy stuff and hunting him down and trying to just destroy him and do everything at every turn he could do. He's trying to destroy David. He's just trying to destroy David. And in a sense, you could say that Ramses was paranoid because he knew Moses. He knew Moses' God, what it was about, but his pride. He was paranoid and prideful and did not want to let the Israelites go. He had to go through all those different plagues and stuff. But his pride, cynicism, I don't believe it. My God is just as strong as your God. And he would see the things that God would steady do. Sending hail that turns to fire, turning water to wine, balls on his people, frogs and grasshoppers and all kind of crazy stuff. Stuff that you know that it has to be something beyond the power of man that's doing this. And Moses seemed to have command of it. But he was cynical. Nope. It's just parlor tricks. My priest, my own magical priest can do the same thing. And they couldn't. So a lot of times people that are cynical is going to always look at life through a lens that's negative, and always somebody's trying to get them. They're always paranoid. They're always trying to ask the question, what's in it for you, if you try to do something nice for them. So make sure you don't fall into that thought process of being cynical. A lot of cops are, and I have been called this, and sometimes we're very cynical of society because we deal with such such a bad part of society that a lot of times people that are actually trying to do the right thing and doing things the correct way, sometimes they get lumped into that category, and we be like, he ain't about nothing. I guarantee you he's going to do such and such if I give him a break, if I do this or I do that. So we ourselves as cops, myself included, we have to watch that and don't let cynicism and don't let being so cynical actually blur the reason why we're here. The reason why we're here is to protect and serve and to try to help people as much as possible. So that's just my 2 cents on the word cynical, and I hope that it resonates with you out there that are listening to me. And before I get out of here, I want to read the quote of the day about the word cynical, and it says, "The words of a wise man's mouth wins him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him." Let me see that one more time. The words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consumes him. That comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter and the 12th verse. I am Danny Graham. I'm your host. This is my show, The Road to Wisdom. If it's the first time you ever seeing me on my show, I'm asking you to please subscribe. Please hit notification bell. Please leave a comment. Also, give me that like button. That helps the YouTube algorithm. On all my videos, please watch from the beginning to the end. And definitely, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Friday. I'll be live here in the chat. So whenever this is going on, I actually will be live in the chat and be able to talk to you. So definitely come by and check that out. I'm not sure what the word tomorrow is going to be. I'm going to try and have that for a surprise. But definitely, I thank you all for supporting me. Thank you all for your kind words, your tweets that you sent me, your comments that you sent me, your texts that you sent me. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm telling you, make sure you get a good pair of shoes on, because I'm going to keep you busy. I'm going to keep you humping on this road to wisdom. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.